Hi guys, this is Miss Thibodeaux, and today we're going to talk about modern fantasies. The books that we're going to talk about today are intended for ages 12 and up. However, they are adults like to read them too. It's not just for teenagers. So, what is modern fantasy? Modern fantasy is whenever it's stories about things that cannot happen in the real world. However, there's still, possible, relatable things to characters. Modern fantasy is whenever the events and settings or characters are outside of the realm of possibility. Some examples are examples like animals talking, objects coming to life, or imaginary worlds that the author creates. So, the five example books that we're going to be discussing are the Harry Potter series, the Hunger Games trilogy, the Blue Blood series, Type, and the Inheritance cycle. So, let's get started. So, the Harry Potter series is written by J.K. Rowling. The ages are teenage audience. It leads more towards a male audience because of the strong male character that is in the story. All of the books were bestsellers, and they were available in more than 200 countries. So that means that they were available in over 60 languages, which is really, that's a lot. It has won multiple awards. And because of that, films were produced for each of the movies, which is pretty cool. Some interesting facts about the author is that the author served as a producer for the movies. So she wasn't only a producer or an artist, she was also a screenwriter in between. She thought of the idea for the book whenever she was on a delayed train from Manchester to London in 1990. So, a summary basically of the series is that the saga follows Harry Potter and his acceptance of his role as the iconic boy who lived. And he faces struggles against an evil wizard. He is able to emerge victorious with the help from those who love him and believe in him throughout the entire series. And through the series, you meet those characters that help him with those struggles. So, another book that we're going to talk about is The Hunger Games. This is a very popular trilogy right now, and this is why I chose to discuss it. More females than males tend to like this book because it has a strong female character, unlike Harry Potter, and he had a strong male character within the stories. The author, Suzanne Collins, she started as a writer for children's shows on Nickelodeon in 1991. Some of these shows are Clarissa Explains It All, Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, Little Bear, and Oswald. Of course, some of these things might be before your time, but they were pretty good shows. So she became inspired to write children's books after, her experience as a writer for children's shows. Later, she became interested in writing young adult novels, and thus The Hunger Games came about and was released in 2008. One of her inspirations was her father's career in the Air Force. This gave her insight to poverty, starvation, and all of the effects on war. So, the stories, basically, they're about every year children compete in this televised death match called the Hunger Games, and each child is picked from each district. So, and they don't have any choice in doing it or not. They have to do it. So the story follows the female character, 16 years old, relatable to the teens, and a male character also. So the next character we're talking about is the Blue Blood series. This was recommended by actually one of my friends. She was really into it. So some things about these books is that the complete series is a series of 7 books, but there's also 2 companion books. And what that means is that there's also 2 books that kind of coincides with the actual story from the series. But it's not a part of the series. and adults like to enjoy this book too. I mean, all of these are enjoyable by people of all ages. So the author, she is an American author, and she's known highly for her work in young adult literature. She's also written another popular series, and it was called the All Pairs series. These stories, it follows a female character and a discovery of her origins, like where she came from. It also follows her growing love for the popular Jack Force, who is a vampire. So there's a secret society of celebrated Americans called the Blue Bloods. And through the series, the female character, she discovers dangerous secrets that they are keeping, and this ultimately puts her in danger. And the story follows that. So another story that we're going to talk about is Tithe. Tithe is written by Holly Black, and it leads more towards a young teenage audience, more so than, adults, but adults read it too, just like the others. And this was a really good series because it was one out of 5 finalists for the annual Mythopoetic Fantasy Awards in children's literature, and that's pretty impressive. Any award is impressive for a book, right? I mean, come on. I would be proud to write a book and have an award. But anyways, getting sidetracked. About the author, some things is that she is an American author, editor, and producer. And she's best known for her other fantasy work, The Spiderwick Chronicles. Now that story gained a lot of popularity, because I remember that very well. Some things about the story is that it follows a story of a 16-year-old female, and she travels the country with her mother's band. And she's always had a fascination with fairies. And she soon discovers that she herself is a fairy, and that her entire life as a mortal was nothing but a facade. And through this story, she ends up finding herself between 2 rival fairy kingdoms, and that it ends up being a struggle for her life. So the last series we're going to discuss today is called the Inheritance Cycle series, and it's written by Christopher Paolini. I hope I said that right. And this series is very enjoyable. It's enjoyable by teenagers and adults alike. There are 4 books in the series, but it was intended to be a trilogy. Keep that in mind. The author decided the story was just too complex to fit into only 3 stories, so he decided to write 1 more. So the series, it was very popular. It sold over 33 million copies and worldwide. And a film was released in 2006 based on the first novel, Aragon. The author, he wrote the first book in the series after he graduated high school at the age of 15. That is impressive. And his inspiration for the series was the epic poem Beowulf. And basically, in this series, it follows a teenage boy named Aragon and his dragon, and it follows their adventures together as they try to overthrow an evil king. So, in conclusion, there are many, many different types of modern fantasy stories for young adults. In these 5 examples, we've discussed fantasy, magic, witches and wizards, and fairies, and many more. I mean, these stories, they're very diverse. These stories keeps readers interested, and they're still able to imagine themselves as potentially being like one of those characters. So even though these stories, they are outside that realm of possibility, they still have a lot of potential there to imagine themselves as those characters. So, that is what I have to do with today. So, we will talk to you soon. Bye.